Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Instant triple talaq, a highly discriminatory and biased practice, has been outlawed in many Muslim countries, including our neighbours, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Remember, it's a form of marriage dissolution whereby a husband can give a divorce to his wife by stating talaq 3 times in a row. In 2017, the topmost country of India struck it down, calling it unconstitutional. The Supreme Court described it as manifestly arbitrary and said that it allows a man to break down marriage whimsically and capriciously. Today, Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan defended the same practice of instant triple talaq and criticized the central government for criminalizing it. He also reiterated that CAA will not be implemented in Kerala and alleged that the centre is using religion to decide citizenship. The BJP has come out all guns blazing at the Kerala Chief Minister, accusing him of playing appeasement politics for Muslim vote bank. Why is the Kerala Chief Minister defending an outlawed practice despite a Supreme Court verdict against it and a bill passed by Parliament? Is it a bid to provoke Muslims in India by once again spreading a fear that they are being suppressed, victimized in India, or that their religious practices are under threat? We'll take those questions to our guest in just a bit. Their stance, while not new from the CPIM, is a little strange coming now that there has been no opposition to the bill and wide acceptance of the need of the bill against triple talaq. But here's a reminder of how the left and other opposition parties had opposed the attempts to bring the triple talaq bill. CPIM itself had called the bill an undemocratic step despite it coming after a Supreme Court verdict asking for it to be outlawed. Similarly, AIMIM said triple talaq bill is unconstitutional and discriminatory. Congress called the bill destructive while discussion in Rajya Sabha. The Samajwadi Party accused government of a hidden agenda behind the bill. So this latest statement attacking the triple talaq bill is also not completely out of tone for the CPIM, given that they have almost always opposed moves by the centre, especially ones that concern Indian Muslims or were made to associate with Indian Muslims. So they opposed triple talaq bill, asking why is it that you've criminalized Muslims alone? They opposed Ram Temple Bhumi Pujan, for example. It was done by the Prime Minister, saying it violates the spirit of Constitution. CPIM opposed CAA and NRC. I reminded you that they continue to do so. Not surprisingly, they termed CAA, for example, a toxic policy of exclusion when it comes to citizenship. And they have also opposed abrogation of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir, initially saying that no one can remove it because it's the only link between India and Jammu and Kashmir. Later, they called the abrogation an abrogation of democracy itself. But here is the fundamental issue with what the Kerala Chief Minister is saying, and that is the obfuscation of the truth and actually misleading the public. Pinarayi Vijayan says, why is divorce a criminal offence for Muslims alone? The truth is, it isn't. Divorce is not criminal for Muslims. To suggest that it is absolutely appalling. He says there is different mode of punishment for Muslims. Reality is only instant one-sided talaq by a man to a woman is criminalized, that too after a Supreme Court verdict against this practice. Other divorce cases are seen as civil cases, Pinarayi Vijayan has said. Reality is normal talaq through the process amongst Muslims is also a civil matter that hasn't changed. The CM also said in divorce case, if it's a Muslim, then he can be jailed. Here is the fundamental qualification to that statement. Only men who give instant one-sided talaq in one sitting can face action. Remember, instant talaq was being given in India to wives over phones, for example, over calls, over messages. Completely one-sided and instant, which is not even recognized by theology itself. So why is Pinarayi Vijayan defending this practice? And that's our big debate coming up first up. Is it an attempt to provoke Muslim sentiment in India after all of these years? We take that to our guests in just a bit.
മുസ്ലിമിന് മാത്രം എങ്ങനെ തൊഴിൽപ്പെട്ടതാകുന്നു? അപ്പോ വിവാഹമോചനത്തിന്റെ പേരിൽ മുസ്ലിമായ ജയിലിലാണ്.
One go we oppose, even Muslim oppose. It will not be permitted in Quran also. Question is in other religion also. Why they are not banning Hindu when they leave their wife? If divorce is permitted, then why the Muslim man will be in jail? And when Hindus and others will leave their wife, will live in happiness?
Pinarayi Vijayan is trying to get the Muslim votes. I mean, he's been playing up to the communal forces, extremist communal Islamic forces in Kerala, and Kerala is the citadel of all fundamentalist Islamic forces. Pinarayi Vijayan doesn't take action.
Let's go across to the guests who are joining us. Rahul Ishwar is author and activist based in Kerala. I'm also joined by Professor Dinesh Vashni, JNU professor and a CPI leader. I want to begin with Rahul Ishwar. Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, is also joining us. But Rahul Ishwar, I want to understand from you. Is it that Pinarayi Vijayan doesn't understand the difference between normal talaq and the practice of instant triple talaq? Or is it that he is choosing to ignore the very vast difference between the two practices and actually making it sound like divorce itself is criminalized amongst Muslims in India?
Our Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan is one of the most senior communist leaders and a very intelligent man. He knows everything, but he is pretending not to know because he wants to score a political brownie point, and that is very unfortunate. We all saw how he dealt with the Shabarimala protesters, including us. I was jailed at least 5 times. I was jailed for 3 weeks, and he was totally not sensitive to Hindu needs. But when it comes to Muslim brothers, he is oversensitive because he knows our Muslim brothers votes as a vote bank or a collective electoral bargain is there. So he's trying to tap into that particular territory where usually Congress used to get majority of Muslim votes. CPM and the left front want Muslim votes, so he's trying to be hypersensitive. And the core point is Supreme Court has already taken a decision. So in that Supreme Court decision, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan is carefully aligning on the other side. Whereas when it came to Shabarimala, he was absolutely desensitive. And at last, even when Supreme Court took back the verdict in a very subtle way, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan has not been able to make a statement on Shabarimala till date. So it shows the duplicity, the double standards that he shows to us Hindus and our Muslim brothers. We all respect our Muslim brothers' sentiments. We should be sensitive to them. But when it comes to Hindus, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan has a very disdainful, disrespectful attitude. And when it comes to Muslim community, he has a oversensitive attitude. That means he wants that votes. This is the duplicity and double standards our left-wing comrades have been practicing for years.
Okay, Atikur Rahman is also through with us. I'm also joined by Dr. K.S. Radhakrishnan, who's BJP State Vice President, Kerala. Before I go to him, Professor Dinesh Vashni, I ask you the same question. It cannot be that Pinarayi Vijayan doesn't understand that the practice of instant triple talaq, which was outlawed, is very different than divorce itself. That was a one-sided discriminatory practice being practiced by some Muslim men, not all. But he's almost making it sound like every divorce in Muslim community is criminalized. How can a Chief Minister of a state make such a misleading statement?
Look, Shivani, first of all, I have gone through this statement very carefully. He has said nothing wrong. Please try to understand something in perspective. How the laws are made and how the laws are changed in the contemporary era or in the changing scenario. The first two code of law, the Susa code of law and Hammurabi code of law, traditions are always taken into the law. Law should be lubricated. It cannot be static. Unfortunately, this triple talaq bill is a static law. You cannot be criminalized for a civil matter, whether A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. Number two, the country you referred that they have done away from the triple talaq, they have not criminalized any talaq.
Looks like we've lost that link with Dinesh Vashni. We'll try and get it back. But I think he was talking about the fact that this is predominantly a civil matter. But remember, when the Supreme Court gave its judgment, it outlawed that practice. How do you outlaw a practice? On top of that, the Supreme Court asked for a bill against triple talaq. But let me bring in Dr. K.S. Radhakrishnan in the meantime. You heard, I think, preliminary what the left leader is saying. That whether it's instant triple talaq or just divorce, you have criminalized only one form of talaq. That in itself is discriminatory.
No, that was before. Well, before coming to your question, let me say that It is the part of his diabolic mission of Islamization of the CPM on the one hand, and to keep the Muslim community within the regressive conceptual prisons created by the Islamic clergy. So this is his diabolic mission, number one. Number two, I know that he is a very intelligent person to understand what happens in Kerala and in India and in the world. I would like to bring your notice to the bare fact that India and 23 other neighboring countries have banned the triple talaq, and those countries include Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, etc. So he knows the very simple fact that a civil society should be governed by civil laws. You take the case of the Christians, and the Christians by religious faith believe that which is connected by God should not be separated by man, but they are ready to undergo the decisions of the court of law.
No, that's fine.
Divorce.
No, he's not opposing that. He's not opposing that. He's just saying that why has one form of talaq been criminalized? I'm not sure I agree with him. I will say that much, because the kind of instant triple talaq that was being given in one sitting was so discriminatory. There should be action against men who, indulge in that practice. Otherwise, you cannot have a deterrent. But he is saying, Pinarayi Vijayan is only saying, why have you criminalized this? It should still be a civil matter.
Because it's a criminal action. That's why it has been criminalized. And a criminal action should be dealt with by criminal laws. And if Pinarayi believes in the rule of law, why can't he approach the court of law and get a verdict on it? If the parliament has made an enactment, the judicial scrutiny is opened in India. Why can't he approach the Supreme Court and get a decree in favor of his whims and fancies?
Okay,
Who prevents him? But this is absolutely a political mission of he and his party to keep the Muslim community as a vote bank.
Is this resonating with the Muslim community though? From what we understood, and we covered obviously the aftermath of the triple talaq verdict and also the bill passed by Parliament, Atikur Rahman, is this an issue that is resonating predominantly with an old-minded Muslim clergy that saw the verdict on triple talaq as taking away their dominance on the Muslim community, also the patriarchal segments of the Muslim community, because women were very happy. This gave them some sort of protection against being thrown out. And how many such cases we saw in India?
Shivani, this matter of triple talaq and, throwing and exactly the entire blame on the Chief Minister. The Chief Minister, I have great regards for him. And he cannot be, put into watertight compartment if he is speaking on a particular issue. Politics apart, religiously speaking, what we demanded from the government of India is, and even the Mr. Radhakrishnan pointed towards it, that in all other Islamic countries, there are arbitration councils wherein these matters go first into it, and a rapprochement approach is there if the couples can be settled through it. But there was no arbitration in the present day schemes of things in India. The women are happy, you said that, well and good. The basic principle what the government of India should have addressed related to triple talaq is restoring the practice of the 3-month period rather than criminalizing it. And if a chief minister, mind you, chief minister of a state is having some power, some ability, some, he can speak on such issues. Don't throw him into watertight company. That's how he spoke on this.
No, I'm not saying how he spoke on this. That's not my aim at all. But my problem is with the obfuscation. Divorce is not criminal amongst Muslims in India. They are happening, right, without any criminal proceedings. It is very much a civil case, a civil matter. But it is only the practice of instant one-sided triple talaq. in one go. I'm not even
That's
getting
it.
into 3 months or 6 months of arbitration. All of that
That's
is not under the government. That's anyways coming under personal laws. My fundamental
Shivani-
issue is that did the Chief Minister, was he a little clever by half? Or was he economical with the truth when he suggested that divorce is criminal amongst Muslims? It's not. It's a certain
He
practice
is only
that has been
addressing
criminalized.
to the criminality of a civil dispute, which all through we were also saying. What I am telling you, Shivani, if you want to restore equality among sexes, you should have restored the Quranic principle of 3-month period.
No, that's not the
Why to
government's job,
criminalize it
unfortunately.
instantly?
That's not the government's job. There are anyways, clerics who adjudicate on this. They will advise Muslims. The moment the government will get into it, I'm sure there will be a whole hullabaloo about why the government is deciding this or that. Fundamentally, Atikur Rahman, the Supreme Court said this is an unconstitutional practice. It has to be outlawed and barred. The government brought in certain deterrents to ensure that husbands don't unilaterally throw out their wives, which is what was happening. Dinesh Vashni is back with us. Can I just allow him to complete his point? Dinesh Vashni, fundamental issue is only this. It is only a very perverse form of instant triple talaq, which was outlawed and criminalized. Not all kinds of separations amongst Muslims. Why is the Chief Minister misleading the public?
No, Shivani, what Comrade Pinarayi Vijayan has said correctly said. I was referring to the first two code of law, Susa Code of Law and Hammurabi Code of Law. They have all taken the traditions of the society into context, and when the changes happen, the change should happen in relevance to the changes in the society. That is the law. Law cannot be static. Law has to be lubricative, and making one type of talaq a criminalization is a static law. We are opposed to that. We are not against the triple talaq. We are not against the abolition of triple talaq. We are against the making it instant criminalization of one type of talaq, which is
But
not
this is
there
not
in
a type of talaq that even the Muslim community accepts. It was a social perversion. So why are you even defending it? If it's a criminal activity and it is criminalized, what is the problem here? It's not even backed by Muslim scholars.
So have you criminalized other type of talaqs in the other communities in India?
What is the other type of talaq which is equitable to instant triple talaq? Please tell me, no.
Shivani, for state, all subjects should be equal.
Yes.
For state, subject is equal. It
But
cannot be
give me an example of a kind of practice where you can, in one sitting, in one go, instantly announce divorce. There is no comparable practice. Tell me which community has that practice?
Shivani, there is a kind of practices, 1,000 types of practices exist in the country, which is bad in law, which is bad in taste, which is bad in society. They cannot be abolished by making just law. You have to make a consciousness.
So name one, please, in the context of divorce, name a practice which is absolutely arbitrary, one-sided, unconstitutional, against the principles of gender justice, as the court has said. Name one.
No, gender justice we support, but gender justice does not mean criminalize any type of talaq when it is not being criminalized.
But this is not a form of talaq which can be allowed anyways.
Equal. All should be equal.
All are equal. But if you bat so much for equality, Rahul Ishwar raised that point. So tell me this. Why doesn't the Kerala Chief Minister... One second. Since you bat for equality... Dinesh Vashni, listen to me. I don't want to speak over you. Since you bat for equality, why has the Kerala Chief Minister never batted for Hindu temples to be free, for example? Which other places of worship are controlled by the government? He doesn't open his mouth on that.
No. I would like to know. All other temples are free. Always the highly visited temples are being governed by the board.
But why? Highly visited mosques are not. Highly visited churches are not. You bat for equality.
Baba, how many people visit church nowadays?
What?
How many people do these things? Please
so just because not too many people are affected, it doesn't matter. Then it doesn't matter about the last person's equality. Then how many people are affected by this practice of instant triple talaq?
Shivani, one has to understand, visiting in crores.
So you'll make money off it. Then it's okay.
Law and order, providing the road infrastructure to
law and order is anyways a state subject. You have to, by definition, provide law and order situation and police for any kind of activity. You don't need to control temples for that.
Why not? But
why? Since you bat for equality, why do you want to control only temples?
One of the temples in Kashmir, no board earlier. There were plenty of corruptions of
See,
money in
Dinesh
that.
Rashni, this is the problem. I asked you to name one comparable practice to instant triple talaq. You couldn't. Sati, for example, is banned. There are charges for those indulging in child marriages. Also, these are arguments one could make that these are societal practices. But today they are facing charges as well, including criminal charges. Right?
Look, Sati was abolished in this country too early. We all supported it, and it was a sham to.
It was okay then, but triple talaq cannot be abolished now.
Triple talaq should be abolished, but by consciousness, and no talaq should be criminalized. Whether it is one type of talaq among the triple talaq.
This is not the kind of talaq. If you criminalize it, it's not holding back a community. It's only advancing certain section of the community. It's not a form of talaq that is recognized. Like I keep saying, it's not a recognized form of divorce. But Rahul Ishwar wants to come in. Let's just go around our guests one more time for their views.
Just two lines. One, even Holy Quran and teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't agree with the instant triple talaq. It was a kind of digression from the original Holy Quranic teachings. Supreme Court also took into consideration the Holy Quran's perspective. So neither Holy Quran nor our sacred constitution will agree with such a bad practice that is disadvantageous for our women. And Dinesh Vasniji, who I really respect, is really a loss of words, because there can be a clear double standards towards Hindus, whereas Muslim sensitivities are over-respected and Hindu respected.
Okay.
This is the core issue. When it comes to Sabrimala, they don't have any regard. But when it comes to triple talaq, they try to be overprotective.
What about traditions and feelings of people when it came to the Sabrimala Rao? For a few, you offended so many Sabrimala devotees, including the likes of Rahul Ishwar. Then it was okay, because that's about progressiveness. But here, progressiveness and progression is problematic because we have to take into consideration societal sensibilities. So, Mr. Radhakrishnan, sensibilities of only one community matter in Indian politics?
Yes. Unfortunately, this is what happens here in Kerala. And our Honorable Chief Minister thinks that he is the custodian of only one group of people, especially the Islamic group. Here, everyone in Kerala has to get divorced. And those who want to get divorced have to follow legal procedure formalities, and triple talaq never follow any such formalities. So my CPI friend, I humbly request him that ask them to follow the legal procedure formalities before the divorce. This is what happens to Hindus, Christians and other communities in Kerala. But Pinarayi Vijayan all of a sudden declared that he is the godfather of the Muslims, with a very malicious intention to keep the regressive section of the Muslims in his party fold.
Okay.
That is what I said.
I'll leave it at
and
that.
And nobody is against divorce.
Yeah.
How can I be against divorce since the law of land gave such a sanction? I request my CPI friend to ask your friends in the left front and to undergo the legal formalities to be observed before getting a divorce.
Okay. That's the simple point really, that there is absolutely no form of acceptable divorce that has been criminalized. It's only a form of digression of acceptable divorce which was criminalized. I'm not sure why after all of these years that issue is being stoked again, but we'll leave it at that. I do thank our guests for joining us.